Chris Bosh almost got shot in the head? Let's find out. Death is certainly scary. It doesn't matter who you are, it is. Although we all have the same fate, it's shocking when the time arrives for our favorite public figures, and even more when it comes to our favorite sports players. The NBA has witnessed plenty of these cases, as there have been several tragedies inside and outside the court, with some of them being fatal casualties that we still regret to this day, like Drazen Petrovic. Besides Drazen's, there have been plenty other episodes where our favorite players have had near-death experiences. Today we're going to recall some of the most famous cases. Let's get right to it. At number 5, Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic is definitely a player who has just recently started making some noise playing for the Orlando Magic, but interestingly enough, he almost easily didn't make it. Many of you don't even know what happened because it happened almost 15 years ago, but this is one of the most shocking histories on this list. Vucevic was indeed lucky to survive a train crash back in 2006, and more than 10 years ago, Nikola Vucevic was traveling with his father in his native town, Montenegro, when the train they were traveling in had a brake failure and crashed. Neither Vucevic nor his father presented major injuries, while 47 passengers lost their lives and 200 were injured. It's crazy that there were 250 passengers, and among those, Nikola and his father were unharmed. Nikola actually talked about it, and he broke down exactly what happened this day when he said, quote, "There was no conductor and everybody started panicking because they had lost control of the train. I tried to pull the emergency brake at one point and we knew something was happening. It was like we were all going downhill. Not just 20 or 30 miles an hour, but like 60 or 70 miles, way too fast." Nikola even claimed that him and his father were in the front car, which was the worst place to be, but luckily the train hit the side of the tunnel, which stopped it from going completely overboard and ended up tumbling and rolling down a huge hill. Vucevic even talked about how he felt afterwards, saying, quote, "I don't know how long I was laying there. I was lost. My shoulders were bruised. I had some cuts, and first thing I did was I looked for my dad. I found him, and he started helping other people. We stopped a few feet from the Meraki River, and there was like an 100-foot fall before we would hit the river, and there's no way we would have survived. But hey, I'm glad that he did survive and became a great player with a very decent career so far." At number 4, Chris Bosh. After being part of one of the most dominant teams in NBA history in recent years, playing alongside Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, Chris Bosh was unable to have the same fate as his teammates because shortly after LeBron left the team in 2014 to return to Cleveland, Chris began having health issues that sidelined him and forced him out of the NBA. Chris has been through a very dramatic situation over the past couple of years, being unable to play basketball since 2015. Just when he was about to receive the credit he deserved, a heart problem started occurring for him, and it meant that he was playing his final NBA game at the age of 32 years old. He tried to ignore the severity of his ailments to stay on the court, but the potentially deadly consequences convinced Bosh that a comeback was impossible. The choice painted the center, but the ball is not, in fact, life. Even with a truncated career, Bosh deserves to receive honors as one of the best big men of his generation. At number 3, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard entered the NBA with plenty of promise as he put forth an impressive collegiate career at Weber State University. It didn't take long for Lillard to find success in the NBA, as he has developed into one of the best point guards right now. He's among the league's top scorers, which has helped him earn 5 All-Star selections, an All-NBA Team First nod, 2 All-NBA Second Team nominations, and an All-NBA Third Team nod. Lillard has firmly become the face of the franchise in Portland, while being the guiding force to make them a playoff constant. Damian grew up in Oakland, surrounded by many samples of violence and crimes, and even if he never took part in any of these practices, violence caught Lillard although he didn't look for it. Due to these crimes, he has also lost many friends and family alike. Back in 2008, when the current Portland Trailblazers point guard was waiting for a bus after practice, he was robbed and attacked by 3 men. The suburb star didn't back off and tried to fight the robbers. One of them even pulled a gun on him, but luckily for everyone, he didn't shoot him. Lillard even rapped about this in his song Roll Call. If things would have gone down differently, we would have seen the worst consequences where we might have even lost our NBA star, but this is a kind of situation that has had a significant impact on Lillard's life and outlook. He has made the most of the opportunities that have come to him over the last decade plus that has seen him become a star NBA player. As for the robber, he was caught and they met their fate too. At number 2, Grant Hill. Grant Hill is one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history, as the former Piston had everything to have a long and successful run in the NBA. However, injuries were ruthless to Hill's body, and he never could accomplish all the things that people expected from him. In my opinion, he was overall a great player, but there was this one time that thing really went out of the way for him, and literally seeing him now a person can't even believe that Hill went through that much. 5 days after Hill had ankle surgery back in March 2003, he developed a high fever and had some convulsions. During an interview with The Time, Hill said, quote, "I was back home recovering and my body just went into shock. I came to find out the incision on my ankle opened. Either the incision opened and it caused the staph infection, or the staph infection caused the incision to open. It was as close as I've ever been to checking out," he said. After undergoing a procedure to use a skin graft from his arm to cover the opened incision on his ankle, Hill had to be hooked up to an intravenous machine 3 times a day. He was hospitalized for a week and needed intravenous antibiotics for 6 whole months. The infection prevented him from returning during the 2003 to 04 season a whole year, and I can't even imagine how hard this would have been for him. But thankfully he recovered and went back on the court, having a pretty surprising career to back up all the damage he caused, and now we have Grant Hill still standing as a great businessman as well. And last but not least, at number 1, Karl Anthony Towns. About 2 years ago, before the COVID situation in the beginning of 2019, Karl Anthony Towns and a team trainer were on their way driving to the airport to go to New York for a game against the Knicks. And on their way there, they were hit from the back by a full-size semi-truck, which sent Towns to the concussion protocol. But after the crash, Towns had a press conference where he addressed the entire situation as an accident when he said, quote, "We stopped and I looked at our trainer Kurt, who I'm glad is safe as well. And we looked at him and we complained about the car in front of us stopping so hard that the next thing you know, we got hit from the back." Despite this taking place, Towns is of course very thankful to be alive and thankful to be at least able to talk about the situation today. And Towns talked about this in this clip right here.
It's been a blessed 3 days. I mean, just to be here talking to y'all and being able to do what I'm doing is a blessing. So I would say I had 5% a chance of making it out alive. I hit the 5% mark, and then I'll say 4% was to be seriously injured, and 1% was to be minorly injured, and I came out in the 1%, so it's not bad.
Towns apparently had no injury during that time, and it was really a blessed time for him. The doctor only told him to get some rest, and you'll be back on the court, to which he replied,
I said, "Yeah, great doc, appreciate you." As soon as I left, I called the Wolves and said, "Yo, what's the latest flight I could get out?" So
this whole situation made Towns skip 2 games out of his 4-year career, which really isn't that big of a deal, but hey, a good player never likes to miss a game. Well, that's it for today, guys. Let us know which thing was the most sad to listen to in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching to the end of this video of Triple Double Nation. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.